This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
And thanks for joining us here on the News at 7. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. We're starting with Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. He's tracking what to expect the rest of the night after storms, heat, and humidity. Kevin.
The dreaded Triple H, hazy, hot, and humid. And these downpours prove how humid it is. Most of this happened within a 45-minute period of time. Speedway or just east of 465, say in 10th Street, 1.3 inches. Estimates up around Geist anywhere from an inch to an inch and a quarter. And the same as you go into Boone County. Those thunderstorms have come to an end. This is what's leaving northern White County, northwest of Monticello. Another little bubble of heavier rain along I-65 in the Lafayette area. To the southwest, this is a growing area of thunderstorms. Those of you Bedford, Mitchell, Oolitic may see the lightning off to your southwest and hear some rumbles of thunder. This may continue to grow into the southwest portion of the state. Thing to keep in mind, whenever it starts raining in an hour's period of time, you could have half an inch to an inch easily. Temperatures upper 80s in the western portion of the state, rain cooled in spots elsewhere. When the dew point temperature's in the mid-60s, that's when you notice it. It's in the 70s. You definitely notice it. And these are the heat index values, what it feels like right now. We'll talk about the trend for the rest of the week in the 7-day forecast.
And we are learning more about what Metro Police say led to the shooting death of a 14-year-old boy along the canal in downtown Indianapolis. IMPD says Curtis White was attempting to rob someone who had a gun and shot White. Police say that person remained on the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. White was taken to the hospital where he later died. The shooting remains under investigation, and IMPD is asking anyone with info to get in touch with IMPD or Crime Stoppers.
Two women are taking Metro Police to court over an incident during a peaceful protest against police brutality late last month. The federal lawsuit was filed today, and it comes after the Marion County Prosecutor's Office declined to file charges against the officers. Ivory Westfield and Rachel Harding say in the lawsuit they were walking toward Harding's vehicle after a protest because Harding had agreed to give Westfield a ride. That's when IMPD officers told the women they were under arrest for violating the 8 p.m. curfew imposed by Mayor Joe Hogsett. The lawsuit says the officer arresting Westfield became aggressive and forced her arms into an unnatural position, causing her pain. When she pulled away from the officer, Westfield was shot with pepper balls at close range and repeatedly hit with batons. When Rachel Harding tried to intervene, she was pushed to the ground by another officer. RTV6 spoke with Harding about the incident 3 weeks ago.
She told the officers multiple times that she was sorry. You can hear her in the video. She can't breathe. She's apologetic. She's telling them that she has defecated on herself. She's urinated on herself because of the amount of force that she was met with.
The officers involved were taken off of patrol duty while an investigation took place, but the Marion County Prosecutor's Office declined to file criminal charges against the officers. The lawsuit also says IMPD is refusing to release the names of the officers involved. We reached out to IMPD. They referred us to the city's Office of Corporation Counsel. That office sent RTV6 a statement saying, quote, "Out of respect for the judicial process, we do not comment on pending litigation."
Taking a look at how the coronavirus pandemic is impacting Indiana, some states report hospitals reaching capacity. According to the Indiana State Department of Health, 40% of Indiana's ICU beds and 84% of hospital ventilators are available. And today, the state reported an additional 312 positive coronavirus cases. 9.5 of people tested for the virus have been positive. 2,432 people have died. And as of today, the United States has recorded more than 2.5 million cases of COVID-19. At least a dozen states are pressing pause on their reopening plans, with some hospitals struggling to keep up. At least 23 states are seeing an increase in hospitalizations. And Dr. Anthony Fauci is warning that it's unlikely the U.S. will achieve herd immunity against the coronavirus if part of the population does not get a vaccine once it's available. He said if only 75% of the U.S. population gets the vaccine, it likely won't be enough to develop herd immunity. Dr. Fauci says it's unlikely any vaccine will have 100% protection against the virus and would settle for a vaccine that's at least 70% effective.
Local groups are coming together to stamp out hunger despite challenges brought on by the pandemic. Troy Washington is working for you to show us some of the solutions that they've come up with.
We really pivoted. Our usual way of doing things is that we were sending free meals to congregate meal sites. So shelters, after-school programs, faith-based programs, boys and girls clubs, things like that. But now, sharing a meal together isn't a good idea. So we have started packaging individual meals, a family pack of meals, 4 meals together, sandwiches. We are making over 5,000 sandwiches a day.
Right now, Second Helpings is relying on a new normal to continue putting food on the tables of Hoosier families, since it's a fact that 1 in 6 families struggle with food insecurity.
And we've gotten to hear more of the stories, especially with the home delivery. People that we had a feeling that were out there but weren't sure how to serve. So the disabled people that can't cook, or the people that only have a microwave or only have a stovetop. And, we've started asking questions that you would never think you would ask somebody.
Norris Bisnoggle says though the style of serving has evolved, it's allowed the organization to really get to know each family and their specific needs. It's also opened other doors.
We weren't getting the food from the caterers and the big parties. Sadly, there have been, I think it's 12 now, restaurants that have closed during this COVID time that were generous enough to open their freezer doors to us, and refrigerators and their dry goods and things that we have rescued all of that.
Aside from food rescue, other outlets have stepped in to help out.
Wholesalers that were selling to the grocery stores, had excess food. The Department of Education purchases food for the whole school year. They knew that they wouldn't need that food that we've gotten. The USDA has done a program with farmers where they're buying commodities.
So while the pandemic may have changed things, it's certainly not slowing things down when it comes to making sure food is on the table and stomachs stay full. Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
We know COVID-19 is disproportionately affecting Black and brown communities. Experts say the same is true with systematic racism and inequities in education. RTV6's Stephanie Wade speaks with someone working to change that for Hoosier students and families across the state.
This is a chrysalis moment, the moment we've been waiting for.
The moment when Dr. Yolanda Watson-Spiva with Complete College America says we can no longer ignore inequities and disparities among college and high school students, but instead are forced to address them.
What I'm hearing from presidents is that they're realizing they had a lot of blind spots. Like, they had no idea, even though we've heard things about like a Black student sleeping in the common area in their dorm and somebody telling them they don't belong there.
CCA pushes for change in higher education that allows more students to complete college. They work with lawmakers and universities to institute policy changes.
We've always looked to them for guidance around policy, around practice.
IUPUI, Purdue University, the Indiana Commission for Higher Education are some of the partners, to name a few.
Thinking about what are the barriers that we have structurally embedded in our systems that are impeding students from completing college.
COVID-19 revealing many of those.
If you do not have a laptop or some sort of technology to load into, people are having to really do all of their homework and research on a phone.
The lack of technological capabilities, Wi-Fi inequity being one.
Most institutions, I don't want to say they were reticent to do online learning. Much of it was, one, resources, right? It takes a lot of money to either equip students with laptops or Wi-Fi or technology, but also to train and skill up. We have a lot of faculty members and administrators.
And recognizing things will look much different come fall, factoring in social distancing, health and safety procedures.
I was on a call with the CDC about how institutions will be able to reopen. And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, at the end of that long call, I was like, I don't know if institutions are going to be able to do this.
Not to mention how current events have prompted people to speak out.
Some institutions are doing surveys to their students. Some are also talking to alumni.
Dr. Watson-Spiva saying the interconnectedness created through the virus has made us see our interconnectedness in humanity.
Students are finding their voices. Faculty of color are also speaking up in ways that they haven't in the past. So it's going to be an interesting confluence between COVID-19 and this sort of just new conversation.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Now still ahead here on the news at 7, what you need to know about one of Indiana's newest laws and what you can and can't do behind the wheel. Businesses helping our economy and community as a whole.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
This Thursday, RTV6, along with our partners at Radio 1, will air a virtual town hall called A Conversation on Race, Connecting Central Indiana. Tonight, RTV6's Nicole Griffin is talking with some of the speakers about the messages they hope that you can take away from this conversation.
The hour-long virtual town hall is a chance to have a necessary conversation about race, one that can often be difficult and uncomfortable. But leaders we spoke with say this is a time for everyone to listen in and be part of the change.
Families are talking about being Black in America. What does that mean?
Maggie A. Lewis is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Indianapolis. She also has a teenage son.
As a mother, I'm always afraid that something's going to happen to my child. And so it's important that I talk to him about his decisions and choices that he's making.
Lewis and State Representative Gregory Porter are two of the panelists that will discuss what African-American families call the talk during Thursday's town hall.
The talking includes on how to say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, to stay within your confines of being positive. You move slowly. If you're stopped by the police, that you tell them what you're going to do. You have dialogue. You speak with respect.
I think it's so important that we are comfortable having difficult conversations with our youth, with our kids, our children, about what's happening in our community.
The conversation will also focus on how we got here, the history of racial injustice, and where we are right now. Jessica Louise with Indy 10 Black Lives Matter, who was born and raised in Indianapolis, will be part of that conversation.
Addressing racism or addressing systemic oppression, and that those conversations can happen in our own homes, with our friends, with our families, and ultimately with the organizations that we serve and work with.
She hopes the conversation opens up a platform for people all across the city to feel empowered to have a conversation about race with other people in their lives. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, RTV6.
And you can watch Conversation on Race Connecting Central Indiana Thursday from 7 until 8 p.m. right here on RTV6 and on our digital platforms. It will also be simulcast on 3 Radio 1 stations.
One downpour just south of Sullivan now. That's drifting north and east. Others will come into Greene and potentially Lawrence County. We'll have another tour of radar and your 4th of July forecast coming up.
Implants, we can't wait to see you.
Beginning Wednesday, Indiana's distracted driving law goes into effect, making it illegal to hold your phone while driving. The law applies to any handheld device with the exception of calling 911. You can still use hands-free and voice-operated technology. The penalty for breaking the new law is a fine, but violators will not receive any points on their license until the law is fully phased in by July of next year. Kevin.
Can't ignore the humidity. That's the story here for the rest of the week. The other variables, our temperature and rain chances will vary a little bit. Actually, the humidity will drop slightly as we go to the 4th of July weekend, but it still is a big part of the story. These slow-moving storms you've seen on display today, how they can put down heavy rain in a short period of time, certainly leading to some street flooding. Rain chances are still high tomorrow, decrease Wednesday, and then come down Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even on Sunday, a nice little stretch where our rain chances become more remote. This is heavy rainfall, as you can see, and notice how it might be one thunderstorm. Once the downpour starts, that's also the downfall of that individual cell, and then others pop up as you get the rush of air out ahead of that, lifting more warm, moist air. Sullivan with some heavier rain. This may drift into portions of Vigo County and Clay, and this rain destined between, it looks like Bloomfield and Bedford and Olytic, just along 69 there. Bigger picture, if you're wondering where rain is in relation to your house, you're probably in good shape. Not much rain in central Indiana now. We did have one little pop-up shower right over downtown here recently. That's kind of fizzled. As we go through the overnight, we're not done with the rain yet. This model pops up showers and some thunderstorms through the overnight hours, any one of which could have some heavier downpours. That's through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. morning. Tomorrow morning should be dry most of the morning hours. Temperatures push 82 by 11 a.m. It's the afternoon where we bubble up the thunderstorms rather quickly, again with some heavy rain. Severe weather not expected. Flooding would be an issue with repeated thunderstorms over the same area. 7 a.m. fading thunderstorms. During the afternoon, we go the other way. 1 o'clock to 4, there are blossoming storms, and they're hit and miss through the 7 o'clock hour. The humidity is steady at the top of the scale right on through the day. 65 on that dew point is when it's uncomfortable. Lower 70s is where it really drives the heat index values. 95 to almost 100 degrees. Wednesday, showers and thunder showers still numerous, but I think that's the last day where they're fairly widespread. Then we'll see that rain chance come down and the temperatures go up to the upper 80s on Wednesday. Thursday, chance of thunderstorms just 30%. Then Friday through the weekend, chance of thunderstorms low, temperatures at 90 or above, including 4th of July forecast with a 91-degree high temperature. Mark?
Kevin, thank you for that. When members of the military leave the service, they can sometimes find it hard to adjust to civilian life, and that can be especially true when it comes to finding a job. But one program is helping veterans train for a new mission in the working world of archaeology. Maya Rodriguez explains tonight.
Within this lab are scattered fragments of America's storied past.
I never thought I'd be doing anything like this.
Kenneth McNeil is an 8-year veteran of the Air Force, 3 in the reserves, and now part of the Veterans Curation program, which provides training in archiving and archaeology.
Well, I think one thing that happens a lot is that we just exist and we don't think about things that happened in the past.
But here, the past is never out of reach. The artifacts come from the Army Corps of Engineers, discovered at sites across the country during the excavation and construction of major projects, like dams or canals.
The Army Corps of Engineers had a need for people to do this curation work, and the veterans have a need to find work and gain new skills and feel comfortable getting back into the workforce.
The lab spaces are provided around the country by New South Associates, a company which specializes in archaeology and partnered with the Army Corps to train the veterans.
They feel like they're part of this larger mission to preserve our history and the cultural materials that come with it.
In just over 10 years, the program has trained nearly 700 veterans, with 72% of them landing permanent jobs, some with the Smithsonian and National Park Service, while another 19% have gone on to further their studies in college.
It also gives us a sense of purpose, which is something I think veterans sometimes need when they separate from the military.
A purpose which Kenneth McNeil says he's found in the past 5 months of training.
We live in an area that has a lot of history to it, so it's good that we are helping restore some of these things.
Gaining new skills, along with a deeper appreciation of the past. In Alexandria, Virginia, I'm Maya Rodriguez reporting.
Big money at Menards.
Amazon is announcing bonuses for its employees after criticism for its plan to end coronavirus-related hazard pay. Amazon announced today it's giving out $500 million in bonuses to its frontline workers. The bonuses will be distributed to Amazon and Whole Foods employees, as well as delivery drivers who worked the month of June. At the beginning of the month, Amazon ended its $2 an hour pay increase and double overtime pay that had been in place since the spring.
Warm temperatures from the Gulf Coast all the way into Ontario, Canada, really all the way up to Hudson Bay. The cooler temperatures you see out west will not reach the Hoosier State, at least through the 4th of July weekend. There's the temperature trend. Again, we should be at 90 or so as we go Friday through Monday. Forecast for tomorrow, much like today. Very sticky, steamy with these thunderstorms, most numerous in the afternoon hours. Amanda?
Thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. Our next newscast is tonight at 11. We'll leave you with this view of downtown.